Howdy, everyone. Welcome to Unsafe Space. I'm your host, Carter Laren, and I'm joined, as almost always, by Keri Smith.
Hello, Carter.
Keri, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm real excited about tonight.
Me too. We have the opportunity tonight to speak with Az from Heels versus Babyface. One of my questions is going to be why that's the name of his show, so hopefully he'll tell me. But you may have also have seen him on Friday Night Tights. I think that's how, Keri, that's how you met him, right? Through Friday Night Tights. Az joined YouTube in 2012 to escape the rat race, but everything changed in 2018 when he moved his content direction into pop culture and the disillusionment of the great geek franchises. You can find Heel versus Babyface on YouTube. We'll put the link below. And on Twitch, and you can follow him on Twitter at Heel versus Babyface. Az, thanks so much for joining us on Unsafe Space today.
Hi, how you doing? Good to see Keri again. Good to see you for the first time. So, how you doing?
It's good to meet you is the phrase usually in English we use in the Americas, in the colonies.
Cool,
That's what we say.
Yeah, I've just come from a 2.5-hour one, so
Yeah, I wanted first of all,
damn.
Thank you for doing this with us on a day when you've already been doing videos, and also for being patient because I had very spotty power last week, so I appreciate it. And I
don't know
how
you do. I can't after like a 2-hour show. I'm drained. I don't know how you can do more. So
well, I that's the trick. I drained myself, then I came back. So when that's kind of feeling pretty.
I
good.
see. Is that TMI? I don't know.
It's sharing is caring. I think.
I see. I see.
Accurate. Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't be offensive if you were some sort of alphabet person and that involves something out of the ordinary, but I'm a little bit offended.
Okay.
I think you're just a regular old hetero cis guy, you know?
Yeah. Cis, white, heteronormative.
What are all your boxes? Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted to. So I also wanted to ask you about your how you came up with the name for your show, Heel versus Babyface. Did you pick that name at the very beginning in 2012?
Yeah. This is the first and only and original name for the channel, and the reason why I picked it was one of the pastimes that I used to enjoy anyway, was a bit of wrestling. And I wanted to come up with a name for my YouTube channel that dealt with both good and bad. Because I'd be dealing with good things, I'd be dealing with not so good things. I myself could be the good guy or the bad guy, depending on which point of view you were coming at the material from. And so in wrestling terminology, a heel is a bad guy and a babyface is a good guy. So I'm the heel versus babyface. I am the alpha and the omega. I am the good, I am the bad. I am the right, I am the wrong. So, you know, I wanted to kind of have those polars. And judging by, because I used to specifically deal with one topic, which was World of Warcraft, a video game.
Oh, so, right on.
Yeah, depending on my spin on whatever they were doing, you know, you could easily perceive me as a bad guy. So I used to have quite a polarizing audience, in as much as I'd have the people that come along and enjoy, you know, listening to the rants, and then I'd have the people that come in to tell me how wrong I was, you know. So I used to have this very, very kind of like split audience, and because I could criticize and speak negatively in an age where everyone was happy, shiny people, and if you appeased Blizzard Entertainment, then you might get invited to go over there. That's how they used to do it. They used to invite content creators who spoke very positively about their product over there, and it dawned on me very early that I couldn't do that. It just was against my nature. Maybe I'm just a brash, outspoken Yorkshireman. I don't know. But I just couldn't do that. I couldn't be that content creator that was just like, so today this content's dropped and it's great. You should go try it out. And, you know, I come on, but shite.
No, you would never be one of the.
That, I imagine. I mean,
yeah,
you know,
I can't imagine you as like an Instagram influencer where you're like, this is my favorite product.
Oh, I get. I mean, I just don't want to sound this weird or flexy. My email box is like chock full of, we would love to advertise with you. And well, half the time it's con men trying to get a hold of your telephone number and stuff like that. And the other half of the time it's people just like, we wanted to support this video game, and then we were like a 5-minute video about how great it is, and I'm just like, no, no, it's not how it works. If you want me to look at your video game, then I should tell people what I think of your video game. So over the years, they sort of died down as people kind of, oh, Heel versus Babyface. He's the guy that, you know, he'll say what he wants to say. We can't make him say certain things. But I think it makes it more impactful if you do have something very positive to say about something, because people then say, oh, well, you know, if this is a guy who's not afraid to criticize, if this is a person who's not afraid to, you know, to speak his mind, actually says, hey, guys, this is actually really good. Then they can, you know, take it probably more convincingly that, yes, I'm coming from a place where I'm being authentic for you, as opposed to somebody who might not, who might have an agenda.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we all notice that when if someone's willing to criticize things and then they suddenly have something nice to say, you believe them more. I think that makes sense. It's legitimate. So, you blew my mind because I thought it has something to do with stepping on babies and there was some kind of dark thing going on there, but it's a wrestling terminology. That's cool.
Very tame. It's very tame indeed.
On our show, I'm the heel and Carter's the babyface. We have a super
My
chat
youthful appearance is what does it.
Dick Hard, the couch guy, says, "Oh God, as in an almost semi-serious environment, you look positively nervous. We're just here knitting. Don't worry."
I'm here to ruin the show. Don't worry about it. Okay.
We have a lot of knitters who watch, so that's not unusual.
Something about knitting.
Yeah.
By the way, we actually had a super chat before the show started that was says actually it's from someone named As Gobbles on Gary's Fun Box. So obviously some insider information. and he or she asks asks when your gay Santa book with Gary will be coming out.
Gary and I we've been ridiculously busy recently. We haven't even had time to deal in the minutiae of it. We haven't even time to thrash it out. I'll just be perfectly honest. I ain't gonna bullshit. It's an idea. It's a concept that we want to run with. And we'll just have to see what comes into fruition. But needless to say, we didn't realize how crazy 2021 was going to take off.
Yeah.
And so from a physical standpoint, we have both just been chock-a-block. I mean, we text each other constantly on the phone and stuff, and it's not just like, this has just happened, that's just happened. And you know, just trying to have normalcy with conversations about how's life, how's the wife, you know, how's stuff going. But we haven't had time to really thrash something substantial out when we're both just kind of like stretched for time as it is.
Yeah.
Well, whatever it is, I'm sure gay Santa will be brave and stunning.
Like Santa's ex-husband. That's what we wanted to do as a response to Daniel Kibblesmith's Santa's husband.
I don't even know about this. What's this?
Daniel Kibblesmith. He has he's rich. I don't know how. Possibly through family. He used to write for Fallon, I believe. He then went into a little bit of comics. He was on You Got a Millionaire. I'm a hoe and I want to date a millionaire type of program in America.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Oh, yeah, one of those.
You got one of those, and he was on that. And holy shit, that guy! Oh no, he don't want to be with women. He doesn't even want to kiss a woman. And so he created a book anyway called Santa's Husband, where Santa was a black Santa and he was married to a white Santa, and it was about how how accepting we should be and all this kind of stuff. And I think it's made in really bad faith, because to me, Christmas is for kids. That's who it's for.
Yeah.
It's for kids. It's for kids.
It's already accepting. It's Christmas.
Well, No, it wasn't accepting of Christmas, Keri. It was accepting that Santa likes men.
Okay.
That's what it was meant to be accepting of. You know, it had nothing to do with Christmas at all. It was unfortunately what happens, as we see with SJW people. They take something beloved and they pervert it. They pervert it to meet their own criteria. And so they took something which is for kids and joyful and meant to be a time of family and friends and forgiveness and all that kind of stuff with Christmas. And then they wanted to put their propaganda into it.
Yeah.
And to me, that's very bad faith, because to me, you just let kids grow up.
Yeah.
You know, I wouldn't force anything down my child. I wouldn't force heterosexuality down my child. I would just want my child to grow up. I would just want them to have a great childhood, hopefully a safe childhood, and allow them to make the mistakes, which we'll all make, to allow them to be there if they want to question anything. But I want them to have their own life experiences. I get very frustrated nowadays when we have so many people trying to force so many horrible things onto children. I say horrible things. You know, you had the kid who was doing the dancing, drag in drag, and he had adults like, you know, adults like egging it on, and to me that is absolutely disgusting.
Giving him dollar bills.
Yeah, I remember as a kid, my mind was all over the place. You know, I didn't know whether I was coming or going. I didn't even into my mid to late teens. You know, I hadn't sorted anything out. I hadn't worked anything out in my head. You know, one day I'd go to school, there'd be a girl I'd talk to. The next day I'd go to school, same girl, I'm getting a boner about her. I don't know what the hell's going on with my body. Do I like it? Do I not like it? I don't think I do, but I think I do. So you're all over the place as regards to how you feel about things, how your body feels about things. And the last thing that you need is propaganda information trying to push you into a pathway or force you into a pathway, or trying to say, hey, come down this route. This route's so great, when you have no true understanding of what it is. And that's why I said I would never force anything onto my child. If my child came up to me and said, hey, Dad, I think I might be gay, I'd be going, okay, do you want to talk about it? And I'd sit down and have a talk about it with them. Or if I had my kid come up to me and say, hey, Dad, there's a girl at school, and I kind of really like her, and I don't know what to do. Again, we'll talk about it. If you want to talk about it, we'll talk about it. But I want you to experience it. You know, I want life to organically happen for you. I don't want you to feel forced or pressured into situations because some people are putting bright lights and sparkly sounds on it and saying, hey, come down our route. And that's why I think things like the Santa's husband with Daniel Kibblesmith is done in bad taste, because just leave kids alone.
Yes. There's something predatory about forcing children to confront
so.
Issues they're not ready to confront.
Exactly.
Right? No matter what they are. And most kids don't care who Santa sleeps with. That's not on their mind. So to have to introduce that into them and talk about Santa's sexuality is a predatory behavior, because it's putting something, it's spotlighting something that is not even in the kid's context of knowledge. They're not even thinking about that, likely.
No.
So you're making me
that. Never.
Yeah, you're making me think of, I wanted to look it up so I got the age right, but here in the States, in California, they introduced a bill, this was 2019, where they would be changing sex ed across the state. And starting in the 7th grade, their sex ed would be including information about fisting and blood play. Yeah. Masturbation.
Wait, what grade? What grade?
7th. Yes.
7th grade?
Yeah, this was Bill AB 329. And as a parent, you had to opt out. Like, you had to take extra steps to make sure your kids weren't learning about stuff like. And again, it's like 7th graders don't need to know about that.
I didn't learn about blood play until I was like 30 something, and I still don't really like the idea.
Yeah, it's just, I'm sorry, I got it gross, but yeah, it's weird. I think we're in a time where we're just asking, we're putting things on kids that kids have never had to think about before, including this whole idea of like choosing what biological sex you are. You know, that's something that previously has only affected, less than 1% of kids have ever struggled with that. And now we're saying to 100% of kids, this is something you have to determine. You have to figure this out. It's like, what's your sex? What's your gender? And that was never a question that came up for most kids. Now it's like, oh, this is being put on me. It's something that we decide. I know we're getting a little serious, but I wanted to take it back for a second. Can I ask you about, this is something Carter mentioned before we started, and I was wondering too. I was checking out your videos.
To fist me, no.
This is
not unless you bought me lunch and flowers first, at least. Probably some chocolates.
Here, I have this thing. I happen to have this sitting on my desk. It looks like I'm kind of ready.
Well, that looks like a trainer fist. That's like
it's actually just stress putty because I'm fucking the stressful person.
Oh,
but I don't know.
Well,
we're talking about fisting and
okay.
I don't know what I'm thinking. I'm sorry. By the way, I want to thank Jeremy who sent us a super chat and says Kibble Smith did Safe Space and Snowflake. Enough said. Now that I know that's who that was, it's the guy. Remember Safe Space and Snowflake? Those horrible characters. That's Kibble Smith.
Okay.
Yeah, the characters that were so meant to be. What's your rule on fruity language?
You can swear.
You can have fruit.
Somebody who was working for Marvel, and Marvel was so desperate to give a fuck you to Comicsgate and to the people who'd gone to make their own independent work, that they were just like, hey, we can create these characters to which you keep taking the piss out of, and people will buy them. And even the trans communities and all that kind of stuff were like, are you fucking taking the piss? Are you taking the piss out of it?
Yeah, even they.
Normies are looking at it and just laughing their tits off anyway. So they're just seeing that stuff and just wetting themselves. And Joe Rogan gets onto Joe Rogan with Kurt Metzer, and they're going through that. And it's like when you've got normies who are just looking at you and crying, laughing, that's the everyday person. That's their response to ever buying a comic again.
Right.
And that's why they won't get it. And then when we got the people who you're trying to pander to, because this isn't about what you have to, you more than likely do understand, and probably a lot of the audience do understand it, is when we reduce this down, none of this is about inclusion and diversity. None of it. That's a lot of bollocks. It's all an absolute load of bollocks. It's all about point scoring. It's all about power plays. It's all about trying to control. It's got nothing. Daniel Kibblesmith, you don't give two shits about if you're trans or gay or anything like that. You don't give a toss. It's all about pandering to these people. It's all about pandering to a vocal minority who in themselves, the vast majority of them are cosplaying this lifestyle.
Yeah,
they don't believe it.
They're not actually. Yeah, it's like transgenders.
It's a complete fabrication for them too. 3 years later, the board are off Twitter. They're married. They've got 2 kids. All that kind of stuff. This whole pronoun business. It's all constructs, artificial constructs, which have been created 5 years ago, 2 years ago. Nobody gave a toss. Nobody, because it never mattered.
Yeah,
it never mattered. But now there's a generation that's coming through and says, I want to be. Wow, this is the irony. I don't want to be labeled, and therefore I want you to label me like this.
Yes, with all these very specific checks.
It's a lose-lose situation already, because they're already the way that they operate is by constantly keeping you off guard and constantly moving the goalposts. Because once you've established the rules, they have to adhere to the rules. And
that's because it's not about whether you agree; it's about whether you comply.
Exactly.
And the way to make sure you comply is to change the rules all the time and see if you follow. Yeah. And guys like Kibblesmith are not. He's just trying to get. I imagine. I don't know him personally. He's just trying to get. He's just trying to get like morality points from his peers. He's trying to he wants to get invited to the right cocktail parties and have girls that he likes go, ooh, you're so woke. That's what he's an ally. Signaling.
He's an ally. Yeah. But he's bought himself a wife. He's got a complete token wife. You've seen the guy and you've seen his wife. This I don't even know if they talk to each other. But it's complete token. This guy doesn't even know how to live his life. He's used his wealth. He's got what he wants through his wealth. So, his wife, if he was poor, she wouldn't look at him twice. And the thing is, he knows that. And I'm not just trying to be cruel because I'm not a looker, and all that kind of stuff. But this is a person who's just used his wealth, his influence to get where he is. And he's trying to create these woke points. But when reality happens, if he didn't have his money, if he didn't have his influence, it'd be gone. It'd be gone in his split second.
I just looked him up. Oh, wow. Yeah.
Is he the guy who did the video about where he described his decision to make characters?
This guy looks like Mr. Bean could kick the shit out of him.
Looks like you'd expect a male feminist to look like. That's all I'll say. But can I ask a question here? So
that's
tell me
to say about it.
I was going through your channel and for anyone who's watching who may not be familiar with your channel, you review a number of series. And so one of these series, and this is the one that Carter was mentioning before the show as well, is Batwoman. Yeah, that's a picture of Killsmith.
I'll talk for him now. We'll just pretend that I'm Killsmith. Go ahead.
He goes by pronouns they, them. Yeah.
I was wondering, could you take
Keri.
us through? Okay, can I talk to you about Batwoman now?
Yes.
Sorry.
Everyone said we were being too serious. I'm trying to be less serious.
No, but we're getting to some fun, meaty stuff.
Okay. We'll talk about Batwoman. Very important.
I'm
fun,
sorry.
meaty stuff.
Like I don't know. Maybe I'm extra triggered today. I'm having a lady moment. I'm just like, anyway.
A whammon moment, I think.
Yeah, it's not usually. We're not usually this discombobulated. As I apologize.
It's fine.
So
I do this to people.
Okay. So you, in your Batwoman series, you really break it down for people. And as you were saying beforehand, for people who may not want to torture themselves and watch the new CW series. And I laughed a lot watching a few episodes. I know Carter did as well. Could you just tell people maybe a brief overview for people who haven't watched the CW series? What have they done to Batman? Like what's happened in the past series and a half?
What they've done to Batman or Batwoman?
Well, Batman's not in this. That's for starters.
Batman isn't in this. But if you want to know what's happened to Batman, that's a completely different story altogether.
Actually, I do want to know what happened to Batman. It could be after the Batwoman thing if you wanted to do that.
Well, Batman's been missing for 3 or 4 years. He's just vanished off the face of the earth.
Okay.
And so there was a void in Gotham that got filled by a private security firm called the Crows. Because the Gotham, this is the funny thing because they can't get their stories. They can never get the stories right. Defund the police. The Crows came in because the police couldn't cope because they were underfunded, underpersonneled, and they couldn't deal with the huge amounts of crime that was on the rise. And so they got this private security firm in called the Crows to help out, to aid the police.
Who paid for the Crows?
Who paid for the Crows? The city taxpayer.
I'm just kind of confused why you would hire 2 different police forces, but okay, go ahead.
Well, because they don't want to show police on camera. They really don't. They need an organization that can just be full of horrible white men and point at them every week and say, look at them, they're horrible.
Oh, so they're going to use the Crows as a foil. The Crows are bad.
Yes.
Well, they've already done an ACAB analogy.
ACAB. So they say all crows are bastards.
All crows are bastards as opposed to all cops are bastards.
Wow. You know, how clever. It's very subtle. I don't know if anyone will pick up on the nuance there. That's great. Okay.
No, these are genius writers, by the way.
Yes, obviously.
So, Kate Kane got a phone call from her stepsister.
Wait, explain who Kate Kane is for people. She's the new Batwoman.
Kate Kane is who would become the first Batwoman.
Okay, the first Batwoman.
What was her day job prior to Batwomaning?
Prior to Batwomaning, her day job was diving underneath sheets of ice while a shaman or somebody blocked her breathing holes, so she had to punch her way out.
Oh, yeah, that happens a lot in California.
She was allegedly in training to become a member of the Crows.
Okay.
And going around the world doing it, which I don't know why, because the Crows are shockingly bad. She could have just turned up and gone, Dad, Mate is a crow. All right. So anyway, she gets a call saying that her ex-girlfriend, who she got kicked out of the army for because she refused to sign a document saying I'm not gay, has gone missing, has been kidnapped by the Alice in Wonderland gang. And so she returns to Gotham to meet her father, who runs the Crows.
Her dad runs the Crows.
Runs the Crows, as you do.
Sure, yeah.
To get the Crows to help look for Sophie, her ex, who is also a crow, by the way.
I see.
Her dad says, "No, we would let us do our own investigation. You don't get involved. You just go look over there and you be my daughter.
Go back under the ice and hold your breath."
No, she doesn't.
Yeah, okay.
So she goes and breaks into Wayne Enterprises for some reason. And then she goes to investigate Sophie missing. Don't come up with anything. Goes back to Wayne Enterprises. Gets caught by Luke Fox, who is Lucius Fox's son. She somehow figures a way into the Batcave because realizes that Bruce Wayne was Batman, and then says, "Do you know what? I can use the Batwoman costume and gadgets and tech to search for Sophie and find my ex-girlfriend." She does. She finds her.
Did they give it to her, or did she just steal it?
Well, she says to Luke, who is,
I assume someone,
the soyest of cuts in the world.
Oh.
This is the most unthreatening black man you will ever meet in your life, because they can't have a black man with a temper, no, or a clue, or an opinion, or a dominance, because them white women, they are petrified of black people at the CW. And she's just like, "I want you to take Batman's costume, which already has boobs on it, by the way, and I want you to make it perfect, make it fit a woman." So he does that. He tweaks the costume so it fits her, which is great because Batman in comic lore is 6'2". Ruby Rose is probably about 5'2". So
so he runs it through the dryer a few times.
Yeah, he just he's cutting it with the scissors and running it through the By the way, this is an impervious bat suit which can just easily be altered, but never mind.
Yeah, sure.
That's just another plot point for another time. So she gets in the suit, she rescues Sophie. That's the end of the.
She finds Sophie and rescues her.
Finds and rescues Sophie.
Okay.
This is all the first episode of the show ever. So Kate Kane's story arc is complete in the first episode of the first season.
So she hangs up the suit, and the rest of the season is about social justice.
No, you see, she because she picked up the suit for selfish reasons. She didn't do it to help Gotham. She didn't do it to help anyone. She did it to help herself.
Right.
So Luke says, "Hey, do you know what? Now that Bruce is gone, why don't you help Gothamites and become the new Bat, the new hero of Gotham?" And she's kind of like, "Well, I've got the script says I've got fuck all else to do." So she does it for no other reason than they need more episodes of the season.
And that's it.
Okay.
So from then on in, she's literally just going around allowing her murderous sister, who was thought to be dead, allowing her murderous sister to go. She captures her, she lets her go. She kills more people. She captures her again, she lets her go. She kills more people.
So she's kind of bad at being a superhero.
She did about 4 or 5 times, and then she got so bored with capturing her sister and letting her sister go that she decides to start murdering people as well. So she kills an unarmed man who's tied up to a chair and throttles him to death.
Well, but is he white?
Of course he is.
Oh, well,
She can be... Come on. Can we just make one thing
No,
sure?
seriously?
Every time
Seriously?
a villain is mentioned, they're white. Okay,
Oh,
Yeah.
fair. Okay.
that's the
So-
way things
So she
work.
kills an unarmed white man tied to a chair.
Yeah, because he kidnapped her sister and broke her mentally, so she became the villain Alice.
Okay.
But he wound her up, and then she was like, "I'm gonna throw you to death." By the way, she's also gone to an alternative reality during the series. Met up with Bruce Wayne in an alternative reality and murdered him as well.
Oh wow. Why is that? Was he in?
Because he had now started killing and liked it, and he'd killed that world's Superman, and then decided to try and kill Kate Kane's Supergirl, and so she punched him, and he fell over into an electric generator and died.
Wow.
And then, just one final thing, Kate's just like, I've kind of murdered people. And then Luke says, don't worry about it. Do you know why? Because the reason why you've not seen the Joker for 3 years is because Batman murdered him.
Oh, wow. They do that to Batman.
Yeah, so they reduced Batman down to a murderer to justify
So they
her
can just
justify her character murdering people, letting her sister go, letting her sister murder people. She was responsible for more crime in Gotham than criminals.
This does sound horrible.
Right. But she liked Vag, so it was all good.
We have a super chat from Midnight's Edge who just wanted to say hello and simp for you as.
Hi, Tom.
Thank you, Midnight's Edge. And then also, so I was looking up about Batwoman on Wikipedia, which I know we all know is written by a lot of social justice people. I used to make my own edits on Wikipedia, but this is what they had to say about the character, because I was reading a little bit about it, and I knew that it had gone woke. I had heard you guys talking about it, but I don't think I realized the extent to which it had gone woke, because when you look up press on Batwoman, all of it is like, I mean, they said specifically, we were looking for a member of the LGBTQ plus community to play Kate Kane. Like they went out of their way to say, we are casting for, meaning they're not even considering a straight actress to play this part. Like,
because as an actor, you can't play a role.
right.
Right.
You gotta be,
You can't pretend to do. So what did he? Because look, okay, sorry, Keri. I don't.
no, go ahead.
But this is the logic which makes me just want to punch him so fucking hard in the face. Because if they want to play by that rule, okay, if they want to play by we are looking for a member of the LGBTQIA plus XYZ community to be this role, because in the comics, Kate Kane is a lesbian. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all. But by their own logic, why aren't you hiring a billionaire, white, 5'5", 138 pound? You know what I mean? You have taken one specific part of the character.
We're casting for Batwoman. If there's an actual Batwoman out there, please come to play Batwoman.
Superhero, gotta be Batwoman. You got to live in Gotham City. This is the lunacy of it. All you're doing is saying, "Hey, we are massive bigots, and everything revolves around where you stick your genitalia."
Yeah,
because that's all we care about. We're not. And to me, as a potential audience member, it's saying we're not looking to entertain you. We're not looking to create interesting stories based off an unbelievable rogues gallery and 80 years of history. We are just going to make sure there's plenty of scissoring going on. That's it.
Because it's for the children.
And with the actors, like not just with the characters, we care about the actors also being LGBT plus. So they also said, this is how they described her character, by the way, on Wikipedia. Ruby Rose plays Kate Kane, Batwoman, season 1, Bruce Wayne's maternal cousin, who armed with a passion for social justice
No,
and a flair for speaking her mind, dedicates herself to defending Gotham in Batman's absence. It just sounds so exciting and entertaining. A passion for social justice. Then what happens? Because at the end of season 1, Kate Kane doesn't come back, and they bring in a new Batwoman.
Well,
really?
There is a very important bit of information which I think you should know.
Okay.
And that is when Ruby Rose was cast as Kate Kane, the alphabet community went mental.
Oh.
Because Kate Kane is a lesbian and Ruby Rose is bisexual.
Oh.
And so they actually went mental that they didn't hire a lesbian, a full, unadulterated, 100%, no skimming latte, full fat.
That one doesn't hate men enough.
Yeah, she doesn't rub enough. Sorry, I was going to say something horrendous. It's the I actually managed to pull out, which is something that Batwoman's never had to deal with.
Nice.
But yeah, it's not bad. That's actually, but that is the LGBT community as well. They were the ones going, "This isn't good enough. She's a bisexual. She's not a lesbian." So there was already a lot of. This is where hypocrisy comes dripping. There's already a lot of dissent about the casting of the role. So they go through the series. Ruby Rose is just like, "Fuck this. I'm out of here. I'm getting injured. The health and safety on this set is a fucking joke. It's tat. It's shite. This is killing my career. I'm all, I don't like the long, it's long hours. Let's just, I'm out. Okay." So they go and they say, right, we're not going to recast Kate Kane. We are going to create a brand new character. So first thing you've got to do is when you create a new, brand new character, female character in today's day and age, you've got to give her a man's name. That's the first. Right. So they call her Ryan. So she's called Ryan Wilder. So they create this brand new character. And then they say, not only do we want her to be gay, we want her to be black as well.
They said the same thing they said about Ruby Rose. Mm-hmm. They said, we are specifically, again, looking to cast someone from the LGBTQ plus IAA community.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like, could not, can't, won't
but this one better not
else.
like dick.
This one, well. Before we even got to that phase, the people who were decrying Ruby Rose's casting were just like, nobody can take Ruby Rose's position. No. So they get this Javicia Leslie lass, and Javicia Leslie, I don't know if I can say this and destroy your channel. Who's probably straight? But it's Hollywood now, so it's like, what's your persuasion, Javicia? I'm bisexual. It'll do, because I think every female in Hollywood is now. But am I bisexual?
The same way every girl in college is.
I was going to say it's the college thing.
Yeah. So that's what you just put on your resume to make sure that you get considered. So she's bisexual, just like Ruby Rose, not fully committed to the vag. She likes the kook. But they cast her, but now she's got an added shield because she's got the color shield built in as well.
What? On her suit?
She's black.
That I thought you meant Batwoman had a new shield.
Double diversity, double the shield. You got. If you manage to break through one part of it saying, hey, look, well, she's bisexual, it's not lesbian, so you can't come at, you can't, no. She's black. Right? So you got no argument because we got a black. What?
So is this Ryan character not Batwoman? Is it some other flying squirrel woman? Is it something else?
She's the new Batwoman.
She's the new Batwoman who was in her van in the first episode, talking to a plant, and a plane blew up above her, and it dropped the bat suit out.
That happens.
This happened in the first 5 minutes of the first episode of season 2. So she's just like, she even, don't come at me. Javicia Leslie even calls herself Black Woman on Twitter.
Okay.
She finds the suit. She goes, I'm Black Woman now. So she goes to the nearest toilet. She puts the suit on, and she says, "Time to be powerful." And what she meant by "time to be powerful" was time to be a massive racist bitch who just goes around enacting her own desires, just like Kate Kane. She didn't find the suit and go, "Hey, do you know what? This is an opportunity for me to be a hero." No. This is an opportunity for me to self-serve again. So she nicks the suit. She does a few things to sort herself out, and then she gets caught by Cock Luke and Asian sister woman. Then she turns to the black guy and tells him how hard it is to be black. Great speech. If the guy wasn't fucking black, and then she goes off, and then she goes back to them and says, "Here, I don't deserve the suit." No, you fucking don't deserve the suit. But they were just like, "Look, if you don't wear the suit, we can't make any more episodes of this."
Yeah, how are we going to preach at our audience? Someone has to wear the suit.
We gotta let you keep the suit so we can keep making the show. She's right. I will be Batwoman on one condition. And they say, "What?" And she says, "I can be as racist as I want." And they're like, "Done." So she literally, every time she comes across a white dude, she is baiting. The character is desperate to come up with some slur. Absolutely, she's desperate to. She's fighting Victor Zsasz, the serial killer. And he compares her. He does this analogy with like Abbott Costello or something. And she's like, "You want to compare me to what, two white dudes?"
Don't worry, it's not favorable.
It's just like, darling, sweetheart. It's a fucking analogy. It's meant to be. So anyway,
I mean, honestly, this is the problem with this. I mean, what I'm hearing is less like, yeah, there's woke problems. Also, this is just some of the crappiest writing I've ever heard of. I mean, maybe they should start writing for Star Wars.
No, they're too good. No. I think they would have a soy war. It would be soy wars. And then they would literally be right. Who can destroy their franchise the quickest?
So,
and I think Batwoman's kind of winning that a little bit. I think it's winning the war.
Okay.
So what has this done to what are the ratings of Batwoman? I know you've covered this.
When the series debuted, it debuted to 1.86 million, which was the at the time the lowest debut for a brand new series on the CW in the Arrowverse, because it's part of the Arrowverse, they call it. And that's like the Arrow, the Flash, Supergirl, Legends of Tomorrow, Black Lightning. And so it already had a pretty poor start in consideration. I think the previous lowest prior to that was Black Lightning, which did like 2.4 million or something. So, substantially lower. It took, I think, 11 weeks for it to dip out of the 1 million mark. And then it kind of hovered around the low sevens, 0.7s, I should say, high 0.6s, 0.68. So it averaged a paltry amount. Second season of Batwoman.
It's bad.
This week's rating was a 0.493. And it's only 4 episodes in.
So it's going to get canceled, I assume, right? Or
no,
are they going to keep
it got renewed for a third season.
It got renewed.
Oh, right. Sorry.
Because again, they don't care about. We've talked about this before. And I think this is hard for some people to wrap their head around, because it doesn't make sense that a company, a corporation, network would choose something other than profits or success. But they are. Mm-hmm. They're choosing.
Well, usually there's like some pain point where eventually they're like, okay, we'll keep the farce up for as long as we can, but at some point. But
all
maybe
the
not. Maybe
CW
they'll
shows are
bankrupt
just-
their network over it. I don't, you know.
Well, the shows are doing awful. The CW Arrowverse shows used to be great viewage, great viewing. I think The Flash used to do over 6 million an episode when it first started. Arrow, same, kind of like 6-7 million an episode. The first couple of seasons of the Arrow was great. They had a very serious tone to it. Oliver Queen was a very broken character. He was a murderer. He was trying to find his way after being stranded on this island for 5 years. He was trying to adjust to being back into the normal world again. And while at the same time, we knew that there was a dark history of the 5 years, which was unraveled throughout the seasons. And so the first couple of seasons were great. And then it was just like Greg Berlanti just went, do you know what would be really good? If we took this formula, which is really working for us, and then it just went gay.
Yeah.
Just threw it all away. We just need to jazzercise this up.
So you also talked about it. I think it was it the most recent episode where they bring in a villain, except they can't make the character a villain because they've changed the character. The character in the was a straight white male, but they've made the character gay and trans and racially ambiguous.
Yes.
So he can't actually be a villain because
they want to play both sides. I think it's Wolf Spider. The character was Wolf Spider. In the comics, he's blonde, he's blue-eyed, he's a playboy. He steals for fun. He even steals from himself at times. He's kind of like, what if Bruce Wayne had no moral sort of thing? What if and wanted to really sort of go with that free child aspect? And in the episode, they made him racially ambiguous. He looked like, a little bit of ethnic somewhere, something. Don't know what, but something. Luke can't say the word tampon, correct. In this episode, Luke refused. He couldn't say the word tampon.
really?
Yeah, he's so much of a soy boy. He couldn't say it. It frightened him. He had to end up saying products.
Oh,
The
okay.
Batman hid behind the machine with the machine on the wall on the right. Is it going with the products?
The products for your hoo-ha.
Tampons, dude.
But this character also has sort of a pointless monologue about like a coming out story as well. And it struck me, not just watching your videos, but I was reading some other reviews of Batwoman, and I was reading some woke reviews, like woke reviewers. And one of the sites I looked at was Autostraddle, which is a lesbian site, and the reviewer there, shocker, loves it. And I was trying to follow the storyline, and it just read to me like a CW soap opera, but just over the top. It's like, and then Batwoman's ex, and then this guy, and she, and he, and I loved it because this scene, Batwoman asked the other character her pronouns, and that made me happy. And then I loved it when I saw all crows are bastards. That made me happy, and I stood up and shouted. And it's a person who's just celebrating all of these ideological, like, preaching moments. They're not celebrating a good storyline. They're not celebrating good writing or being invested in the show. They're literally just saying, I was so psyched. I stood up and clapped when she asked for pronouns. It's like, it's like church.
There's a very brief scene between Jacob, the leader of the Crows, and Sophie, his second in command, where they do what would be classed as a typical establishing scene in a show. We've brought in Evan, who's a friend of Kate's, who might know something about where this painting we're looking for is. So the scene should have then transferred into the office, as it did, and then they said, right, Evan, you are connected to the collector. Do you know anything about this painting? Why do you want to know about this painting? Well, we believe that's how the kind of conversation should have gone. But they transfer into the office, and the guy just literally spends the next 90 seconds talking about his coming out story. But he's telling it to people who know him who know of his relationship because it's the fucking girl's daughter, the guy's father.
Right. He's a friend of friend. Yeah.
The guy knows all of this. So it's there for no other purpose than we're just getting a coming out story. And it was a ridiculous. I mean, it was like, if you were the most flamboyant of flamboyant gays, this is how you come out. You know, it's just like, it all started from, I was in the closet, but I was like really enamored with Kate because Kate turned up in a beautiful suit. Of course she did. She's a lesbian. She can't wear a fucking dress or a skirt, can she? You know, she turned on this beautiful suit and I took her upstairs and like, Kate, I'm gay. And she's like, oh my God, I know. And he's just like, I don't know what to do because I don't want to, you know, what about I want to go to the dance? And then I turned up to the dance in a McQueen dress. What? You've gone from, I don't know about coming out, and this is the first person I've come out to turning up 5 minutes later at a prom in a fucking Alexander McQueen dress.
You could take.
What is that story?
You could take your
this sounds
reviews.
like shit that junior high schoolers would write.
I would give junior high schoolers more credit.
Fair.
This is
fair.
This is. I'm not trying to be cruel here, but this is just gay masturbatory porn. This is just the writers using the vessel to gratify themselves.
It's all fetishism.
Yeah,
they fetishize the whole.
It's complete because they're not there to. It doesn't. The story doesn't aid anyone. It doesn't help anyone. It doesn't make. If somebody was struggling with their sexuality, then this is not the story to tell them. You know, I'm struggling with my sexuality. I don't know if I'm straight. I don't know if I'm gay. And then you've got some person from the fucking CW going, well, if you don't know if you're straight and you don't know you're gay, turn up to the prominent Alexander McQueen dress. What the fuck is that? That's not the way that you deal with that issue. That's got to be dealt with very carefully, and it's got to be done in a manner that both people who are straight and gay can understand. Because I'm sure there are plenty of people who are straight that, you know, probably going through their teens were like, you know, I'm straight, but, you know, Derek's kind of handsome. You know what I mean? Or something weird like that. So they don't know kind of how to you know, bank that in everything. But it's just the manner in which they did it to people who already know. Anyway, I would just and they're smiling and they're laughing with him. You know, they're like, "Oh God, you're just amazeballs." I'd be like, "Shut the fuck up!" Where the pacing is. That's why you're here.
I didn't mean to disparage.
And I don't want to be rude, dude, but you've turned up to my office in a fucking dress. I can tell.
We guessed.
Yeah. Fucking women's intuition.
I don't mean to disparage the 8th graders or the junior high school kids, but the reason it makes me think of this is junior high school seems, at least my experience of it, seems to be always about all this drama. Everything's about drama. Nothing's about actually getting anything done. Nothing's about, there's no accomplishment of anything. There's a whole kind of mentality of junior high school, which is just navel gazing and drama and narcissism. And that's all this just sounds like it, you know, screw the plot, screw trying to get anywhere and tell a story about Batwoman or anything else. Let's pause and have I guess, indulgent moment about gay drama. In the same episode,
Ryan Wilder, the new Batwoman, who hates the Crows because the Crows framed her and sent her away to prison for 18 months or something.
For something she didn't actually do, unlike the murders that she has been doing.
I was framed by the Crows, and I was imprisoned because of it because I don't snitch.
I see.
Although it was established in this episode that she actually got caught by the Crows with a handbag full of drugs. Drugs which she had taken from her current girlfriend to stop her from getting high. She was crying in the street when she walked past the crows, and one of them said, "You need to smile," because that's what we do to every woman that walks past.
Right? Yeah. Of
Oh,
course.
I saw. She said she got catcalled.
Well,
Smile, honey. Is that what he said?
You need to smile, and I do that. I just walk down the street, and every woman that goes past, you need to smile. You need to smile. You are. You need to smile. You need to smile. You need to smile.
I say it to Keri all the time. She's gonna murder me soon, I think.
And so she raised her fist or something at them. And so they arrested her for assault, I would imagine. And then they went, "Oh, hold on. You got a bag full of fucking drugs." And so she actually wasn't framed by the crows at all. She had illegal items in her. By the way, this is the person who thinks she's sweet and innocent and goes in the same circles as serial killers and mob hitmen who know her by name. But she's an innocent being. So how does that help, like, people who say, you know, Black lives do matter or Black voices matter, when you create a story where she's a false victim?
Yeah.
And then she's walking around the art gallery, the black market art gallery that belongs to Mr. Dress. And she's on the intercom. She's undercover. The crows don't know who she is, because she's in her civvies now, but they're trying to set it up to find the painting which I've been talking about. So Sophie from the Crows is making small talk with her, and you would think, as somebody that wants to, we'll get onto secret identity actually later if you want. Somebody that wants to hold their secret identity away. She says to Sophie, "Oh, I've just bumped into my ex." And then Sophie says, "Oh, I hope it wasn't too awkward for him." And she says, "No, it was a her." What? Why would you give information to an organization who you believe is constantly fucking with you and framing you, who now know that you're Black, who know that you're a lesbian? What are you doing?
This is probably the scene that the SJW reviewer I was reading really liked. One of the ones she liked was like, "And I love it that she corrected and said my ex is a woman."
Well, of course, because it's just like, oh great, now I can great, the scissoring, brilliant. But she's made herself more of a target. She's stripped away another layer of her secret identity for her to be identified. With an organization that is out to also get her, that is just cross-pollinating for this thing with the painting. So anywho, Mr. Dress, well, no, we're sorry. A spider, the wolf spider turns up. Nobody stops them as they cut the painting out of the frame and starts running away. Batwoman jumps up. They have a bit of a fisticuffs. Wolf spider gets away. He's stealing the painting. We need the painting. So he's running down, because this black market collector's edition was in an airport somewhere. He's running down the fucking runway, and they're like, crows cars behind him is like, pull over. He's running. Tase him. Bzz, jumps, misses him. Tase him. Bzz, guys, he's a fucking spider monkey. So they're like, okay, let's fucking sideswipe him. So they sideswipe the guy who stole the painting. Excessive? Yes. Was he stopping? No. So they get out. The guy's there in his costume, hood on, looks like wolf spider, whatever. They take the painting that he's stolen. And then they just go, we probably shouldn't have sideswiped him because he looks pretty fucked. Let's just leave him. Let's just take the painting and leave him.
And
do you want to check who it is? Do you want to lift up the hood and see who the fucking perpetrator was? Stole the painting. No. I'm white. I just fucking hit a guy who's going to turn out to be gay, trans, and a pronoun princess. All right. So they bugger off in the Jeep. Batwoman catches up. He's like, on the runway, lifts the hood up. The villain is the Collector. Is the gay trans pronoun princess. Oh my God, they actually decided to pull the trigger on him being a villain. No. I was stealing it for Kate Kane.
Oh my God.
Oh, they made him a good guy villain.
They made him a good guy. He was stealing it so he could give it to Jacob, so he could do. Oh, fuck off.
So even the villains, yeah.
Because the rule is now you can't put black women in negative situations. You can't put gay, trans in negative situations. They must always be seen in positive situations. So even your villain was a hero in this one.
I don't know. It's just you're not making me. I'm not regretting having no knowledge of Batwoman's existence until this show. So I appreciate that someone's watching this crap.
It's fascinating.
So by the way, we have someone says if you're really into sci-fi, The Expanse is great. It's not really. They say it's not really woke or SJW at all, but it shows a kind of dystopian future, pretty deep in the backstory. What do you think about Expanse? Because I've watched Expanse. I wouldn't say it's not woke at all, but it's much less woke than it could be. But what do you think about Expanse?
I've seen 2.5 seasons, and it was okay. I'm probably one of these weirdos that just couldn't quite get into it. I was enjoying it, and then a certain I don't want to ruin what it was, but a certain story arc ended, and I was kind of like them.
Oh yeah.
And then I couldn't kind of muster up the interest to follow the other characters who I really didn't, weren't that enamored with.
That's my feeling of it is like, because I've watched all of it now, and I don't like Holden. I don't like Naomi. I don't like the only people I kind of sort of like the chick from Mars. What's her name? And like the Martian Marine, like the
New Zealand,
the lady who's in the UN is kind of a bitch, but I respect her. I don't really like her, but like I don't like the characters. That's my problem. Like I like the show's interesting, and I think the universe and idea is interesting, but I'm with you. Like I don't like the character. I watched the whole thing, but I just don't like the characters anymore. I don't care.
I got to be invested in them.
Yeah, I like Amos. Amos I like, and Bobby is the Martian I like. But yeah.
So we had another super chat that was a question for you. As Kent says, who's your favorite heel and your favorite babyface, any era?
Oh, I'll tell you what. I'll slightly rework the question. Who's the best heel and who's the best babyface today? I'm gonna tweet the question is that okay? The best heel, I think, in any of the brands at the moment is Jay White. I think Jay White is the best heel out there at the moment. I think he's absolutely fantastic. The best baby face at the moment. Oh, Moxley. It's got to be John Moxley. He's very reminiscent of a Stone Cold. So there you go.
I don't even know who the people that you just said are. So I have no idea what the words that you just said. So I'm going to leave it at that.
And then we also had D-Cord, the couch guy, gave us a super chat earlier and told us to kindly kink shame you. I don't know if that's an inside joke. I don't know what your kinks are.
Even I don't get. I don't get.
Okay.
Someone is asking if you would ask us to ask you about the Equalizer.
The equal queefer, yeah, the sheequalizer. Yeah, the Equalizer is it's a weird show on CBS. I don't know if you're aware of the 80s series The Equalizer with Edward Woodward, who played an Englishman in New York who would place an advertisement in a paper saying, if you can't help yourself, if you're in trouble, call me. And he would do each week, he would do the thing. He would help out the person in distress, and it would all work out. And part of the charm was it was an Englishman in New York and all that kind of stuff.
She's like a fixer, but a good guy.
Yeah. He's done the stuff. He's done the stuff in his past. He's got the skills. Okay. He's moving on with life, but he can't. He wants to help. He wants to truly aid people. And then, nearly 30 years pass, and because the show ran for 4 seasons, I think we ran from 85 to 89. It's about 25 years pass, and they decide to reboot it, and they reboot it as a film with Denzel Washington. Now, whereas I'm, normally opposed to like race swapping, when a franchise has been dead for 25 years and you want to reboot it, go for it. Do whatever you need to. But you put Denzel as your lead, you've already won for me because it's Denzel. So they make him still have the same character name, still Robert McCall, but he's American this time, and he's working a regular job, and he has a very strict routine, and it's a fascinating film, and it just kind of like explodes in places, like in a really cool way. My 77-year-old mother a couple of weeks ago texted me, and she said, because I got Netflix for her, and it's a whole new world. This woman has had BBC 1, 2, 3, BBC 1 and 2, ITV, Channel 4 and Channel 5 all her life. Now she's got Netflix, and it's a kid in the candy store. She's like, I'm watching stuff I wouldn't watch, like stuff with swearing. This is the mother that took us to the video store when we were kids, and she'd say, do you have anything, to the person behind the counter, do you have anything with no sex, no violence, no bad language? And the guy behind the counter would go, Cinderella. So she's religious, and she's got her, she's got her things. But she was just like, I'm watching all kinds of stuff now. So she texted me a couple of weeks ago, and she says, I have just watched The Equalizer with Denzel Washington, and it was great. And I was like, did you like it? And she's like, yeah. And I was like, yeah, it's a good film, wasn't it? And I said, did you know that they made a sequel? She's like, no. I was like, yeah, and it might actually be on Netflix. Let me have a look. I text back, said, yeah, it's on Netflix. Oh, I'm going to watch that now. So she goes off and she watches the sequel. She loves them. She thought they were great. These are violent films. Lots of stabby, lots of people getting gutted and all that kind of stuff. But it's a really good film as well. So it's violent, but it was really well made. Good production, good direction, good script, and good acting. When you got Denzel and the cast that they had, good acting.
Yeah.
They do 2 films. First one is much better than the second one. The second one, the reason why I don't think the second one quite worked is because it was about him as opposed to him helping somebody. And that's what The Equalizer does. The Equalizer equalizes for somebody else. So even though it was like his boss that he was equalizing, so to speak, it was still a little bit too close to him, if you catch my drift.
Right. It was his own justice he was seeking out.
Yeah, exactly. As opposed to someone else's right. So it was still good, still interesting, still had a fun ride with it. But they want to reboot it. They want to turn it into procedural again, like they did in the 80s. Now, wrong with that. And they want to reboot it. So instead of casting a Robert McCall, I don't care if it's black, white, whatever. Because, we've had the long 25-year gap. There's been a white guy, there's been a black guy. It's like Battlestar Galactica. There's been a white guy, there's been a white girl that's done Starbuck. So it's whichever one you kind of go with. They decide to go with Queen Latifah. Queen fucking Latifah as Robin with a Y McCall. So they're trying to take the name and rework it to a Shequalizer. Okay. With Queen Latifah.
I did enjoy Queen Latifah and Set It Off.
That's fine. There is nothing intrinsically wrong with Queen Latifah as a person.
Right.
But when you're trying to sell her as a hard-ass ex-CIA field operative,
right,
looks like, not trying to be cruel, looks like she'd have an asthma attack if she ran across the street. and she's going around kicking everyone in this show, just miraculously turning up behind him, getting the gun, doing the spin, doing the front.
Wait, how old is she now?
She's also up there in age. This is one of the things I liked about, I just learned about Gina Carano from you guys. And when I looked at her background, the fact that she was in MMA and, she actually looks the part of a woman who could physically, subdue some people. Whereas a lot of times I have a problem as well with people casting women just to cast them, these sort of very fey looking, feminine, fragile looking women who are inexplicably, they're just sort of like kicking the ass of guys that are twice their size. And
she doesn't look fit. She doesn't look healthy.
Yeah.
They have to jump cut massively in the fight scenes to make it look believable. The way that she gets the drop on people is magic. That's the only way that you can describe it. Like with Denzel, when they did his film, the culmination of the film is like a shootout with the villains, or a hunt. They're trying to hunt him in like a B&Q, a Home Depot type of place. So he's using the Home Depot to set up all these horrific traps for the soldiers who are trying to capture him, to try to kill him. And he ends up actually killing the bad guy at the end with a nail gun, just nailing gunning the shit out of him. And so it's very clever the way he sets things up. He kind of pushes using the trap. He pushes the soldiers down a certain avenue, which then allows him to kill them, etc. So it's very cleverly done the way that he does it. And Denzel was 60 when he starred in the first Equalizer film.
Wow.
Edward Woodward was, I think, 60, 65 when he was in the series, The Equalizer. So, these aren't young guys, but the Denzel is very believable. He's fit. He looked fit. He looked healthy. He looked in good shape. The way that he moved, there was a great believability about it. They literally have to teleport Queen Latifah behind people and go, I got the grab on you. Because they can't set up a scenario that is believable, that would allow her to come and creep up behind like 30-year-old dudes with guns. And they have to, like, oh my God.
Like the way you did a robot voice. I got the drop on you.
I got the drop on you. That's the sort of level of the script. But there was a scene, I think, in the first episode, maybe the second episode, but there was a scene where the two bad guys had, by the way, the Sheequalizer is a show made based off coincidence. Everything's coincidence. They got two like immigrants tied up in a warehouse, and they're dousing them with gasoline, and they're going to set them on fire, and they're going to record it as a warning to all the other people. So they douse them in the gasoline, and the guy gets a lighter out, a Zippo out, and he turns on the Zippo, and he's just about to light it, and then pew, pew, ding, has the Zippo shot out of his hand. I'm not going to complain about it.
Okay.
The Zippo gets shot out of his hand. He turns to his compatriot, and he says, "I think somebody's here." What gave it away, Einstein? Was there a smell of roses in the air? Was there a smell of perfume? Was there a shadow in the background? Or was it the fact that somebody shot a fucking lighter out of your hand that gave it away? It's just like, that is terrible writing. Terrible. And then we got the over there. Bang, 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 bang. Did we get them? I don't fucking know. I just pointed in a direction and we shot for 2 seconds to allow Queen Latifah to bloody teleport behind me.
You're reminding me of, do you remember, I think it was Star Wars Episode 2, where Count Dooku had just like wiped the floor with Obi-Wan Kenobi and Anakin, and Yoda walks in and goes, "I sense the dark side in you." And I remember thinking to myself, who the hell wrote that line? Like you don't sense, you like, anyone could sense the dark side. You just
What, Yoda?
like mangled Jedis on the floor.
Is it the guy's arm that's just there?
Yeah, like, good job, Yoda.
What gave it away? Come on, tell me. I want to know. I want to learn. I want to learn to get better at this villain business. But the Equalizer is full of all of that nonsense. It's just terrible writing. And the worst thing is, it's like it's doing okay in the ratings for CBS. It's like one of the strongest shows on a Sunday night, and I'm just like, is this where TV is now?
Yeah.
Is TV so bad that a show that's doing good, which 5 years ago, ratings-wise, would probably class as a disaster, is actually putting in 7.8 million, and that's good on a Sunday night?
Well, I think the answer to that is yes. People are turning to old movies, old series, the nostalgia of when film was good. And I think you see people checking out of what's being currently offered. I mean, I'm not saying entirely. I mean, I've watched Cobra Kai. You and I have talked about that. I like Cobra Kai. But my friend who's staying with me, she got me into Little House on the Prairie recently, and I haven't seen that in a long time. Talk about nostalgic viewing. And if you haven't seen it, it's really stressful. Like it's not just silly viewing. You're watching it and this is so intense. She keeps saying this is intense, and it is, because every episode it's about a time when everything's about survival. It's all a matter of life or death, over the smallest things, and not the smallest things. But
flower. We need to get the cure to them quickly before they die from poison. Yeah. It's like, oh my god,
right? Like there's wolves.
Oh my god, there's no mobiles. Fuck.
yeah. So, but I think people are watching old. During the lockdowns, people started watching old movies again. And, whenever I was just anecdotally just asking friends, what are you watching? Everyone's watching old movies from the 80s and 90s when you could still have a sense of humor. And I don't know. I think people are tuning out.
A stream with Critical Drinker a few months ago. And he said, what film do you want to discuss? He contacted us. He said, what film do you want to discuss? And I said, dude, I want to discuss Commando. He's like,
I don't remember that film.
So we do this stream together, and we're talking about Commando. Commando? 1985? Commando, I think. I think it was 1985 that it came out, and we're talking about, how action films were so good. There's these big testosterone action films. Big beefy men just slapping meat against each other, gratuitous tit shots, just left, right, center, ultra violence. And just a great romp. The scripts are terrible. Don't matter, because it's being carried by other aspects. They're not relying on great scripts. They're relying on the characters. They're relying on Arnie. They're relying on his biceps. They're relying on good beefy fights. Guns, explosions. That's what they're relying on. So we have this great conversation, and then we're going through it all. And this is again 1985, I think, is Commando. And it's like Arnie, who is an Austrian immigrant, is your lead actor.
Okay.
He's never managed to get rid of his thick Austrian accent, So he's got this big, thick Austrian accent, of course. Your girlfriend is a black woman. He's got a daughter, which was Alyssa Milano. So he's a good father. The villains are full of it's like there's the white guy villain, a black guy villain, a short ass villain, another black guy villain. There was like so much organic diversity in this film, but we never even had to think of that kind of stuff in those days because it never mattered.
Yeah,
it never mattered at all. And nowadays it would be picked apart for it, or if it came out, it'd be lauded probably. I don't know, because great action films that are gonna. But it's just like it just happened because that's what was the people were cast to fill the roles, and they felt they filled the roles great. So what if one of the black, two of the villains were big buff black dudes? They were there for Arnold to kick the shit out of. It wasn't a matter of, but nobody thought about diversity. Nobody thought about sensitivity. It was just like, right, these are big beefy dudes who we can put against Arnold.
Yeah.
This is a gorgeous woman who we can have as his, girlfriend to come to And he's a father. He's a good father. He's a good role model. You know, he loves his daughter and he'll do anything to get his daughter back. And it's just like positive messaging for single fathers as well. And nowadays it's just like, oh my God. You know, you can just see the committee meetings of right. Well, we need a black. Okay. Have you got an Asian? I've got an Asian. Yeah. Okay. We got them. Okay. We've already got an Asian.
But the Asian can't be good at math, and we have to show that they're good at driving.
They will be a computer scientist. We got a gay. Yeah. Okay. Good. And you can just imagine the box ticking of the committee.
And they put out a PR release. They don't just cast based on race and sex and sexuality, but they also tell you about it. They're also proud of discriminating in the casting process.
Yeah.
Hey guys, we just want to let you know we're discriminating in this casting choice. You know, give us all the accolades. Yeah. I had another super chat I wanted to read.
Let's do a few super chats here because we have
Eric O'Sullivan says, "Hi, I'm one of Az's." Hello, Eric. He says, "Keri and Carter. Are you familiar with the 1960s The Prisoner?" I am. I have a story about that. If not, as you got an elevator pitch, thanks for the unfiltered point of view. I hope you get your Twitter back. Gratitude. Thank you, sir. I just have a quick aside. My ex-husband was really into the 1960s The Prisoner, and I was watching it with him, and then I had jury duty. And once we got through the trial, once we got into the deliberation part of the jury, it was just on my mind. I had one of these awkward moments where you go in and they were going around the room and and everybody was like, "Hi, I'm juror number 3." And it came to me and they were like, "Juror number 6." So I'm like, "I'm not a number. I'm a free man." And it was just silence and the most awkward. No one knew what I was talking about. I'm like, "My name's Keri." I'm juror number 6.
I'm juror number 6.
Wait, someone do the pitch for me because I don't know the show that you're talking about.
Do the pitch, Az.
The Prisoner is a 1967 to 68 television show starring Patrick McGoohan, who stars as a former intelligence operative who resigns and wakes up to find himself in a village in a replica apartment of where he used to live. And the mystery starts from there.
Okay.
Carter, you would enjoy it.
I would like it. All right.
Incredible.
That's fair.
And I've just recently done a full breakdown of the whole series, which was 17 episodes with Robert Meyer Burnett, who is also another huge Prisoner aficionado. And we watched it in our order. We created an order of where we thought the episode should go. There's lots of debate about where the episode should actually go chronologically. And we had an unbelievable time. And the incredible thing about The Prisoner, which is a show created in 67, 68. The incredible thing about The Prisoner is it's so relevant today. You can see so many of the themes which they're discussing in today's society, and it's madness. Like, you'll watch an episode and you'll be like, "Oh my God, this is cancel culture." And it deals with stuff like cancel culture before we kind of gave it the name, and obviously the sort of platform which we have it nowadays. There are some just absolutely incredible things. I would always say, if you've never watched it, watch it. It's possibly my favorite. Okay. It's like
I'll check it out. I'll check it out because someone else in chat, Legalized Adulthood, just says The Prisoner is the inspiration for Nowhere Man, and I loved Nowhere Man actually.
Yeah.
So that's enough.
Watch
that
the
plus your recommendation.
Cavaliers. Jim Cavaliers, don't watch that one. The remake in 2009.
The remake. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that was a thing even.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right, don't touch the.
We had another one, as it says, from Human Kirk. Thank you, Human Kirk. He says, regarding diversity in the 90s, they did a U.S. pilot of Red Dwarf where they race swapped Lister and Cat because Hollywood. I don't know enough about Red Dwarf.
To white. Red Dwarf is I don't know if you're aware of Red Dwarf. It's an unbelievable comedy, space comedy, which was created in 1986 in the UK. And the very first season, there's three principal characters. There's Dave Lister, there's Rimmer, and there's Cat, the cat, which is a humanoid which has evolved over millions of years from the ship's cat. And the premise is there was a leak, a radiation leak on the Red Dwarf mining vessel. Dave Lister at the time was in cryostasis for breaking the rules. And if you broke the rules, you go into cryostasis and you wouldn't get paid while you're in cryostasis. And Rimmer was killed in the explosion. Everyone was killed in the radiation leak. So Red Dwarf's intact, the ship's intact. But because it was a huge radiation leak, it takes millions of years for the radiation to evaporate, to dissipate, to make it safe for human occupation. So the ship's computer has kept Dave Lister in stasis all that time. So he comes out of stasis. Rimmer has now come back as a hologram and wears an H on his head because that stands for hologram. And his cat has evolved into this humanoid life form called Cat, which is just a guy who's really vain, wears beautiful suits, always looking at himself. Three principal cast members, 1986. Dave Lister, black. Rimmer, white. Cat, black. You had a show with three principal characters, and both of the main characters, or two out of the three main characters, were black. Again, nobody cared.
Yeah.
Nobody cared because the casting of it was just brilliant. And the comedy was so funny because the writing was so good. And these were the perfect people for that role. And this is going back to 86. Nobody was saying anything about, oh my God, it's breaking, it's breaking everything. It's two black guys leading this series. People were just talking about how funny the show was, how good the show was. And it still goes on today. They still churn out, every few years a Red Dwarf special or so. But the US wanted to jump on board after about 3 or 4 years of the show. They wanted to jump on the success of Red Dwarf, but they didn't want to. They initially wanted to bring some of the cast over. They wanted to bring Rimmer over. They wanted to bring another character which joins in season 3 and becomes the fourth principal character, which is called Crichton, which is a robot. They wanted to bring Rimmer and the robot over, but they didn't want to bring Cat and Dave Lister over. And they recast those as two white guys.
Okay.
In the
Why?
pilot, the American pilot was gash, absolute gash. It doesn't get past the pilot stage. Rimmer doesn't go over, but Crichton does to do the pilot. So there is this pilot, the US pilot, and it's just white dudes. So so America themselves actually took the organic diversity, and what was really funny is Dave Lister. He's a Scouser. He's a Liverpudlian. If you don't know, it comes from Liverpool. He's messy. He's sloppy, and that's one of the funny things about the character. He's like, I'm the last human alive. I've been in stasis for millions of years. The human race is dead. It's over. I'm floating around in space on this mining vessel doing nothing. I'm just going to eat curry and drink beer and be a slob all day. That's all he does, and he loves it. When they cast the American version, they cast this like 6'3" white guy, big hair, and it's just like you just don't get it. Don't get it. And you could just imagine all the execs in America being like, oh yes, well, we need this guy to appeal to the women demographic. They must be like, oh my God, he's so handsome because this is what our principal characters must be. The whole reason why Dave Lister worked was because such a slob. And it was and the dynamics that it had with Rimmer, which was the hologram. The reason why they brought the hologram back was to try and keep his sanity. So you had, but the thought, if you bring somebody nice back, if you brought a good, decent person back, then he would still lose his sanity. So they bring back Rimmer because Rimmer's a twat. He's an absolute prick. So he's always arguing with Lister, and they're always fighting. And that's why it keeps him sane. It's really clever. By the way, I just realized the Hill versus Babyface sign over behind you. Cool. So yeah, that was the great dynamic of it, and then seeing what they did with the American version,
they just didn't get it.
Yeah.
Hey, so here's one from two that I want to read to you. One is Matt Decker, which is on the screen right now. It says the new Superman and Lois series features a nuclear family, the antithesis of Batwoman. Prepare for a horde of hate to come.
It's already happened.
Matt. Really?
Yeah, I watched the show last night. I thought it was great. I thought the pilot was really good. There were certain aspects of because they released it like a press release, and I was like, when you read the press release, it's like, but when you saw the trailers like, oh, this actually looks quite good. But everything in the press release just like it didn't do the show any favors at all, and it was a really interesting show, and they say it's got a darker tone, but that's only because it was dealing with some heady themes in the first episode. Clark's mother dies in the first episode. So they're dealing with the death of Martha Kent. He's sacked from the Daily Planet because they're making cuts, because billionaires are buying out all the big business. And it's quite interesting because it seems to deal with politics. When it does the politics side, it does it from both sides of the equation, because it's pretty condemning of big business, which is pretty cool. And then at the same time, they have like one of his sons is kind of on the spectrum. He suffers from like a personality disorder, and so they're dealing with that. But it's done in. But I was worried because I thought, oh my god, they're going to make the kid like a they them, and he's going to be like, Right. But no, they deal with it really, really well indeed. There's a moment in it with him which I thought was just fucking great. Because in the press release it says, oh, there's a girl called Sarah who starts to cause chaos between the two sons' lives, and I'm just like, oh no, she's gonna be like the bestest ever. Me guys, all your eyes on me. I thought it was gonna be like one of those situations, but no, she comes across. We meet her. She's actually quite nice. She remembers the boys from when they visited Martha Kent last year, and they met her during the summertime. So she invites the kid who's on who's personality disorder. She invites him to like a party that they're having in a quarry in Smallville. And so he turns up, and she's like really happy to see him. And then they start having a really interesting conversation. She's like, and he goes for a drink to get a drink. She's like, that's wise. He's like, why? Everyone else is drinking. It's like, yeah, but I saw you take pills for your condition. And he's like, when did you see that? And she's like, I saw it when you were at the funeral. And she said, the only reason why I bring that up, though, is because, I had an issue myself with pills. And they have this little conversation, which is actually really, really authentic. And they're sat down and they're being really earnest. And then he leans in and he gives her a kiss. And it's just like, oh, okay, this is working. This works. And then a fucking boyfriend turns up and fucking twats the shit out of him. It's like, I was going to tell you, but it's just like, we've all been there. I've been there. I've been at a party. I've been chatting to a girl. I've been thinking she's interested. I've gone for a kiss and she's gone, whoa. No. Oh, no. Sorry.
So
sorry.
It's written in a relatable way.
Yeah, it's just done in a really kind of believable way. And it ends up that the kid on the spectrum's got the powers, and the kid who's not on the spectrum doesn't have the powers. But if they use powers as an analogy for, like autism or something like that, it could be done in a very good way. But the show was well written. It was well acted. There was some fan service in there, which we've not had from the CW. What was the first review that I saw? Oh my God, Superman and Lois is so white.
Wow.
It's a white supremacist dream.
Wow. That's what, they can't let anything good exist. They have to destroy things because they're not good creators. And so anything that's good it's like putting in stark relief how bad their shows are, I think. So they're coming after like what the one we mentioned before, Cobra Kai, which I was pleasantly surprised is not a woke show.
No.
Has very limited traces of wokeness, if any. And so I was quite surprised that even got on the air. And then someone clued me into the fact that now that it's on Netflix and getting a wider audience, wider, WIDER, that they're coming after it and saying, "Oh, it's too white," and it's all these things. You know, they have to.
That's a YouTube show.
Yeah.
Cobra Kai was like a YouTube Red.
Yeah, that's how it started.
Yeah, and it started because somebody did a fan recording, scene or something about Cobra Kai, and this is what it kind of evolved into. But yeah, there were people who are just like, why isn't Superman mentioning Kara as an inspiration for him, and and all this kind of stuff, and the actual show itself, even though it's still got Tyler Hoechlin and Bitsy Tulloch as Lois and Clark, I think it's kind of almost disassociated itself from the Arrowverse because they've like changed the backstory of them completely. It's because in the Arrowverse, when Tyler Hoechlin would appear, he'd have one child. Now I think the kids are twins. So I'm not quite sure if they're trying to but they never mentioned anything. There was nothing about any other character, any other show. So this might be another universe, let's just put it in its own separate universe type thing, which I would have no problem with, because I hate when they start messing with crossovers that it all goes to pot. But yeah, it was just nice to see a nuclear family with a couple that loved each other. Lois was not obnoxious at all or tried to be the domineering partner. Clark was he had issues, and he had issues with trying to balance being a father with being Superman. He was trying to balance having to constantly lie to his sons about where he was because he was out saving people. And even though he was saving people, he still had to live with this guilt that he was losing his son who was on the spectrum, because he wasn't being able to spend the time that he wanted to spend with him, or bond when he wanted to, or turn up to some of the therapy sessions that he was going to. And so from the kid's perspective, it just looked like his father was, either disinterested or pushing him away, so they dealt with it in a really interesting way. It's the best thing I've watched on the CW for donkey's years. But can they maintain the quality? Is it a trap?
Is it a trap?
Yeah,
it's a woke trap.
Wait till season 2.
Yeah, they're going to lure you.
Yeah.
So Lady Gravemaster's in chat. Hello, Lady Gravemaster.
How you doing?
She says, Keri, love you girl. You're an inspiration. As watching at double speed and sad that I've not heard your Ocean Man original yet. Also, hi Carter.
It's amazing. Problem being, who's been a follower in the chat for a long time now. He took my latest Batwoman review, which, by the way, can I flex for a second?
Yeah.
Thank you. Which YouTube have age restricted.
Wow.
I saw that. That was amazing. It said it wasn't appropriate. It was great. Yeah.
But I monetized it.
How did you accomplish that?
Well, I don't know what it was, but problem being, took my Batwoman review from this week and created a song out of it. And the guy's talented, and the song is incredible. So it takes snippets from what I say to music, and it's brilliant. I
was going to say, it's weird that they're age restricting your reviews, but the show itself is not. Is it age appropriate?
I gotta confess, I think I did well just to be age restricted this week. Because I went off on a foul-mouthed rant. Also, if you speak, this is the problem that we have. It's the problem that we've got in society at the moment. Is I'll just put it in a very touchy-feely way. When certain demographics are deemed untouchable, are deemed above criticism, then people start to get very butthurt. And there's a lot to be critical of the way that Batwoman deals. Like if I was black, I'd be disgusted at Black Woman. I really would. I'd be disgusted at the way they want to portray me. But bearing in mind, it's written by a white privileged woman.
Yeah.
This is what you always have to remember. This is the way that she views black people.
Yeah.
So you have these, you have the stories of I was framed and I was set up and I did time for the Crows. And then it turns out, no. You were holding drugs. You had drugs in your apartment. You were getting drugs. You were dealing in circles with hitmen and serial killers who knew you by name. You were caught with drugs. You attacked a crow with them on you. You're not the victim there. You were in a situation where you were breaking the law on probably multiple different occasions. You got caught.
Yeah.
They feel it's justifiable to physically attack someone who tells you to smile.
Yeah, whatever.
Because you're being catcalled, and that's a crime against women. Yeah.
It's a crime against humanity.
I have one other super chat that for you, Az. It says, "Hey, Az, this is from Fat Freddy's Cat. Hey, Az, remember the young ones? Thoughts? I felt it was very funny. Punk rock. I remember the young ones. I saw the part of the young ones.
Never get made today.
Never get made today. No.
Never get made today.
And let me just say, speaking of that, the British shows are really, some of them are really weird and trippy. I know when you're talking about how Americans don't really get certain things, and when we remade the Red Dwarf and didn't really get what it was about the character that made him popular. Sometimes I struggle to, and I love watching British comedy, but sometimes I struggle to get some of it. Like the Mighty Boosh is just I can't even I can't even describe that show to people. Or Little Britain. I love Little Britain. Little Britain is like always
now.
It's what?
That's like modern day cancelled now.
Oh yeah, modern day canceled.
Yeah.
And that wasn't even that long ago, but they say that would be offensive to trans people, fat people.
It's not.
That
was the beauty of Little Britain. The beauty of Little Britain was we all got to laugh at ourselves. We all got to laugh at ourselves regardless of our weight, our color, our class. And that's what made it so funny. And we used to have when I say we, I'm talking about all of us. The world used to have a sense of humor, and it's gone. It's absolutely gone. And when Little Britain came out in the UK, when it first came out, it was the biggest show on TV. It was the biggest show on TV because it was so funny. That you could have people in a council estate be horrible and take the piss, have somebody abuse the system, abuse the benefit system, be a fake disabled person to get all these kind of things. You could have David Williams in a fat black suit,
yes,
doing his rich posh woman at the estate who's got no shame. Come and done it, darling. And it's so funny because we can all laugh at each other. We can all laugh at this, the different classes, the woman. Like they have the racist woman. She was one of the funniest characters in the show. You'd have this woman at
the Weight Watchers meetings.
No. There's a woman at Sunday Fair. She was always like a Sunday Fair.
Okay.
It's David Williams done up as about a 6-year-old woman or something. And she'd be at a Sunday Fair and she'd be like, oh, it should be like, David Williams is also dressed up as a woman as well. And they'd be like, oh, what's on this table? And Deirdre, and she'd be like, on this table, we've got these beautiful scones. And she'd be like, oh, because they're like judges for the food. So she'd take the scone and she'd eat the scone and she'd be like, oh, it's so good. It's like melts in the mouth. It's beautiful. Oh, that's gorgeous. Who's this from? And the other person would go, these are Sandeep Patel's. And then she'd be like, and then just like streams of barf would just like come out of her mouth, and she'd just do it all over the other woman. Just the other was just getting covered in all this barf. And the joke is that she's a racist.
Yes, that's the joke. That she's
racist. The food's beautiful. The food's lovely. But when she finds out it's from Sandeep Patel, an Indian person, then suddenly that changes her thought. Jesus Christ. You know, it's
That's
just
like the character. There was the Weight Watchers one too. That was played by Matt, the other guy. What's his name? Matt Williams.
Matt Lucas.
Matt Lucas. And it was similar. And the joke was because she herself was overweight and she did this Weight Watchers kind of class, and she would just make these horribly offensive things about fat people. But she is fat. And then she would say, yeah, that woman. And then she would also make, the joke was she was a racist. So whenever the Indian woman in the class would answer her questions, she couldn't understand her.
Say that again.
Yeah. Say it again.
I've lost 2 pounds this week. Say that. I can't. What's she trying to say? She's clearly saying she lost 2 pounds this week. I don't think so. I don't get it.
Yeah, and then she would say, what? Something about curry.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, you can't.
Because we're laughing at. We're not laughing with them. We're laughing at them. We're laughing at how ridiculously, stereotypically racist they are, while at the same time being a monumental hypocrite. But that's what humor used to be. And now, of course, it's just like, oh, no. Can't have David Williams in a black suit. That's blackfacing. That's just going to... Trans people are going to get really upset when you... Like, you should have... they would have the woman at university. And she'd be like, sat behind a desk and she'd be like, come in. And then some like frumpy woman would come in, short black hair, student, piercings, clearly a lesbian. And she'd be like, sit down. And she'd be like, how can I help you today? And she'd be like, well, I'm hoping I can get an extension on my paper for Thursday instead of Tuesday. Is that all right? She'd be like, okay, let me just call through to the principal. So she called, hello? Yes, it's Anita. Yeah, I've got Anita here, and Anita would like an extension on her essay for 2 days. Bring it on Thursday. Is that okay? Anita. You know Anita, short black hair, lots of piercings, way too much eye makeup. So the woman start, getting a bit of, all right. No, Anita, big fat lesbian. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, that's fine. He says that'll be fine. That's what they used to. Every time there'd be something, and it was just fucking hilarious. But we used to poke. We used to be able to poke fun at ourselves. We used to be able to laugh at ourselves. We used to be able to have, be knocked down a peg or two, and not take ourselves so seriously. And Little Britain was one of those brilliant shows that just encapsulated it all. These were people who knew multiple different types of life. They probably had big success and they probably had struggles. Mm-hmm. So they've seen all different classes. They've seen all different races, and they can just create some interesting humor out of it. And probably one of the reasons why a lot of British humor is more surreal is because a lot of the humor that we had coming out of the like 80s, 90s, 70s, 60s, these are all actually coming from like Eton and Cambridge University and stuff like this. This is coming from very highly educated people, and so the humor would kind of reflect that in as much as the humor would be very highbrow humor, and then when you get onto the highbrow humor and you're dealing with exceedingly intelligent people, then humor tends to sometimes dissipate into the absurd. And that was one of the beauties about the young ones. The young ones were these characters that everybody could relate to in as much as there were stereotypes. But in the same instance, the show could just could completely go off on a tangent. And some people would find it amazing. Some people are like, I ain't got a clue what's going on here. Crazy stuff. And then there'd just be like observational humor that everybody could understand. And it's so sad. It's so sad because you go to when I say I tried, I didn't really try that hard, but it wasn't that difficult to not try. You watch something like Saturday Night Live now, and it's just like Hey, did you see Trump?
Yeah.
Trump?
It's so boring.
Thing? What? He's so orange, and it's just like, what? It's not even humor. It's not even political humor. It's
lazy.
It's lazy and it's unfunny. And all you're doing is getting. Because I don't know if it's done in a studio audience anymore because of Coof. But when the studio audience was there, all you're getting is people to. You just see them in the audience, and then all you I see is the stage manager going,
yeah.
That's all I see. And the sign's going, laugh,
clap, and laugh. I actually had a friend. So I used to work in comedy. We had a late night show. We had a guy who did that, who helped sweeten the laughs. But I've actually had friends argue with me since I left wokeness and tell me that it's okay that Silent Live isn't funny because the message is good. Which I appreciate their honesty, that they think ideology and some kind of message is more important on a comedy show than comedy.
No.
I mean, I guess it's true. If you're taking a class about the ideology, it's important. But that's how they view everything, right? It's a class about the ideology.
Well, I think I'm old-fashioned because when I watch comedy, I kind of want to laugh.
Yeah, that's crazy. You know, you guys were talking before about them hating, like, why they don't like funny stuff, or why they don't like good comedy and good scripts. I think part of the thing that I started doing is, like, instead of paying attention to what the script is or what the show is like to figure out how they'll react to it, it's actually much easier to just see who likes it. Because the best way to tell how anyone will react is if the wrong demographic likes something, they'll hate it. So
yes.
It's not about, they don't have objective standards. What they have is an enemies list. And if the enemies like the thing, then the thing is problematic. And of course, because they have no standards, you can make anything problematic by reading whatever you want into everything, right? So that making it a problem isn't hard. But their targets I think they just identify their targets based on, like, oh, Az likes this. I mean, not you specifically, but oh, Az likes this, must be problematic. And then you just, you ask Twitter to identify all the problems and whatever it is, and it's very easy. Because there's always problems in everything.
Well, look at Batman season 1, Rotten Tomatoes. I saw a lot of the reviews were bragging about how Batman season 1 had 80% critical rating on Rotten Tomatoes, and the critics.
Sorry, can we please say Batwoman? I refuse.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Did I say Batman? Sorry, I meant Batwoman.
I used to have him associated with a shite.
Yes, Batwoman. So they're saying Batwoman has 80% critical rating, but I went to Rotten Tomatoes because I was curious, because I know this from Dave Chappelle, that it's always flipped. Whatever the audience, whatever the people think, then you've got these elite media critics telling the opposite. So if the public loves it, the critics hate it, and vice versa. So I went to Rotten Tomatoes, and the audience rating for Batwoman is 13%. 13. So...
yeah.
Remember when we used to watch review shows? Like we had a show in the UK called Film, and then it'd be whatever year it is. So if it was 2000, it'd be Film 2000, or Film 97 if it was 1997. You know what I mean? So every year it would change because of the year the film. And we used to, you used to get huge numbers of people, millions tuning in to watch, because we would listen to a true, honest critic's take on a film, and it'd be interesting to see what they had to say about said films. And so Barry Norman, he's doing his review on Forrest Gump or whatever. Then you'd know that when he was giving his review, it wasn't politically motivated, it wasn't bias, it was his honest opinion and what he thought about a film. Critics nowadays are not honest. They're bought and paid for, or they're ideologues which are happy to go against the grain to push a narrative. and it's so sad, and I think it's so reductive, and I think it pushes like the alphabet community back when you have a show like Batwoman, because it doesn't show. When I watch Batwoman, I don't want to go fucking near a member of the LGBT community. By watching that show, you know, if this is the way that the LGBT community is, if I'd never, you know, met a gay person, and this is my first dealing with the LGBT, I'd be like, fuck them. They're fucking mental.
Yeah, well, they do that to every community, right? They claim to represent whatever group it is, and then they represent them poorly.
Yeah.
Like trans, the biggest example I can think of is trans. Not many people know actual trans people because there's not a lot of trans humans, you know, trans individuals in the world, but
there's
transgender.
lots of fake ones on Twitter if you want to go there.
Right, but like that's the thing. There's so many, like the ones who are vocal, or at least the ones who purport to speak for the trans community. Most of them are just horrible. They're horrible people, right? Yeah. They see Jessica Yaniv or Jonathan Yaniv, whatever, and they're like, well, if this is what trans people are like, I want nothing to do with them. Yeah.
But those are the ones which they're wanting to push to the forefront. They're the ones who they're wanting to make the eyes on, and it's insanity, and it pushes people out. I worked in an industry where I had to deal with trans people. I worked in an industry where I would be in a call center, and due to the nature of the work that I did, people who were trans would call in because we sold products that they wanted. And when you do it through the mean that we did, which was through post, you know, then you have your dignity. There's a lot of, you know, dignity that you can still retain, because a lot of them were, you know, they'd be agoraphobic, or they found it difficult to go out and find sizes possibly as well that would fit them. And whenever these people, you know, called up, and you could always tell because of the voice, it didn't matter. They weren't a subject to be ridiculed. Mm-hmm. They were a person that wanted a product, and this is the way that they dealt with their business. So if they wanted to be called Mrs. Smith or Mrs. Williams, you called them Mrs. Williams. Hello, Mrs. Williams. How are you doing? How can I help you today? You know, I'd like XYZ. Okay, I've put those on order for you. Check-in delivery. They'll be with you on Thursday, Mrs. Williams. Okay, thank you very much indeed. Goodbye. You know, because when you deal with people, when you deal with true human beings, you deal with them on the way that they treat you, and you deal with them with dignity. And nowadays you go to somewhere like Twitter. It's no wonder that people are claiming victimhood so much, because you are screaming at others. You are screeching for people to do what you want them to do. You can't gain respect by that. You need to respect me. You need to respect my pronouns. No, just by that immediately, no. You have no
that respect. Reaction deserves no respect.
Yeah,
that immediately.
You do not demand respect. Respect is something that is earned. So I've heard the new thing of, there's a baseline respect between people. No, there isn't.
No, and respect. They cheapen the word, and respect is definitely, like you said, something earned. I heard Jordan Peterson talking about this once. I think it was him anyway, about the difference between civility and respect. And a lot of times people use the word respect when what they really mean is civility. Yes. And you know, if everyone is deserving of respect, then respect means nothing. I respect my grandfather. And there are reasons why I respect my grandfather. I don't respect the stranger in line to get coffee ahead of me. I don't know anything about you.
Yes.
But exactly. I will treat you with civility until you give me a reason not to.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head, because you said, because I don't know anything about them. So the way that you can only judge somebody is by the way that they carry themselves or the way that they treat you. So when you start barking that I demand to be called this and I demand to be called that, you have no respect from me.
Exactly.
Because who are you? Who are you to tell me to bend my life around you. Half the time, you're a fucking snotty little 18-year-old
Well,
prick.
you come across as a petulant child the moment you open
exactly.
a conversation with, I demand that you call my use these pronouns and blah, blah, blah. It's
and
like,
then
all
you
right, well,
yeah. Sorry, I was going to say, but then you get Gina, who understood the mob mentality. She wasn't mocking. She wasn't mocking the trans community. No. Those are weapons which come out to dehumanize somebody, and they're weapons that come out to attack somebody. She was mocking the mob.
Yes.
The mob that were demanding that you do this. We demand that you put your pronouns into your bio. So it had nothing. The whole thing there had nothing to do with trans, nothing to do with the trans community. It had everything to do with a big group of fucking self-absorbed assholes who were demanding that somebody bend their life around, and it probably isn't even half of their views anyway. It's just a matter of
It's not.
power.
Yeah, in my
Yeah, it's
experience,
not.
it's just anecdotally, it's not. Like, I happen to know, I guess, compared to the average person, a lot of trans people, most of the trans people I know do not agree with social justice ideology, and they get spoken for. And it's similar to, if you are to say, well, what she put, beep, bop, boop is her pronouns, that's offensive to trans people. No, it's not. It's offensive to people who believe in social justice ideology.
Yes.
Whether they're trans or not, it doesn't matter. It's not offensive to trans people. But they always take, I just saw this today with a headline about the Southern Baptist Convention, which the Southern Baptists here in the States have become...
Westboro?
No, not Westboro, but like the mainstream Southern Baptists, they've become pretty woke. And there was a statement today in which I'm blanking on his name. I think it's Greer, but he said something to the effect of, if we don't look at social justice and critical race theory and acknowledge it, then we are offending or pushing away people of color. And it's the same thing. That is not true. You are offending social justice warriors. You are offending people who hold this belief system, but don't pretend like that is the same, that you can substitute that for trans people or for black people. It's not the same. Trans people don't. Yeah.
Well, let's be honest. The offense isn't real. Like, no one's people, even their social justice warriors, I don't think are actually offended. They are just. I really think that what's going on for a lot of them is they are very paranoid, and they're paranoid about proving their wokeness, and they've got their radar tuned to opportunities that arise where they can be performatively woke, so they can show the others how woke they are, because they're deathly afraid that they'll get found out that they don't actually understand this whole woke thing, because frankly it makes no sense. So like the mob has created so much fear in people. People don't want to get, no one wants to have to be Gina Carano. So what you do to not be Gina Carano, if you are spineless like a lot of people, is you look at what Gina Carano says and you kind of try and see what the mob's going to do, and you grab the pitchfork first, right? And you scream about it just so that they don't look at you too closely, because anyone who looks at you too closely will probably find some stupid offense, because literally everything under the sun is offensive.
I think the whole Gina Carano,
social justice ideology,
Pedro Pascal business, it just showed the hypocrisy, and it just showed the ridiculousness of it, because Gina Carano puts out a post that equates government, big business, whichever way you want to interpret it, using the public to turn against one another to push specific agendas. And in her case, she's specifically said, "Isn't this like politics in the UK or Republicans in the UK, whatever, in America, US?" Sorry. So she was making an analogy about how mainstream media, big business, and the Democratic Party have dehumanized conservative America. You're no longer Republicans, you're no longer conservatives, you're Trump supporters. So that's what you're branded as now. So The way that they dehumanize Trump equals dehumanization for you. So it was very clear to see the analogy that she was trying to get at. You don't have to have much intelligence to work that out. You would actually have to be, and I'm not trying to cause offense, but you would actually have to be stupid not to understand a very simple analogy. They jump on her. Oh, you're equating this to the Holocaust. You're disgusting. You're abhorrent. Yada yada yada. Meanwhile, Pedro Pascal equates Auschwitz to current America. That equates Trump supporters, 76 million, whatever they were, voters for Trump in the last election. That equate that to Nazis and slave traders and Confederates. Nothing. Because Pedro Pascal is on the right side of the ideology scale and Gina Carano isn't. And this is why I can never take these people seriously, will never take these people seriously, and will always be vocal about them, because you are liars. You are hypocrites. Everything you claim to stand for, you don't. You don't believe in what you say. And when you don't believe in what you say, you're a mockery. You become a mockery. And that's what they are, a bunch of people on the internet trying to tell others how to live their lives, trying to tell others how victimized other parts of society are, while just being monumental hypocrites. And so you can come at me. You can try and cancel me. You can shout at me. You can scream at me. You can send me emails till I'm blue in the face. But I won't ever back down from this. I will not apologize for this, because I can't apologize to a liar. And I can't apologize to somebody who's a fraud and a fake and a phony. And I can't apologize to somebody that would take a shield of diversity and turn it against the very people that they claim to champion. And that's what you're doing. You have shown, these people show the least amount of respect to any member of community they claim to champion, because they take that diversity and then they shield themselves in that diversity and then try to speak for them.
Yeah.
So
and look what happens if you're one of those, if you're a member of that demographic and you say something that's anti-woke, they will crucify you faster than the most heteronormative cis white male on the planet.
Hate you. Yeah,
look
they
at Eric
hate
July.
you.
He won't conform.
Who?
Look at Eric July, Young Ripper.
Oh yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I love Eric July. Yeah.
He's got his own thoughts. They don't like that. No.
Yep.
No. Look at the way they attacked Rosario Dawson. And Rosario Dawson, who was exonerated of the things that they claimed against her. Exonerated. The woman who made the claims said, I made them up. I made them up. And it doesn't matter.
They
Because
don't care about truth here. This is not about truth.
It's a target. Attack. You're a bunch of jokes. You're jokes. Yeah. So every time somebody wants to come at me with some woke statement, every time somebody says, hey, Az, you can't make that joke, it's offensive to this demographic or that demographic, any other demographic, I just say, oh dear. Oh well.
Right.
Oh well. I'm gonna have to get over it.
I just want to say, I was describing you to someone earlier today when I was talking about us doing this interview, and what did I say?
You say, as bald, big fat blob. Yeah.
Nice callback. No, I said he cracks me up, very funny, very smart, and also very authentic. That really comes through. And I love that about you. And I love what you're saying right now about, well, that's too bad. If it offends you, I'm still going to say it because it's true. And I'm going to be myself.
You might say it more.
I recall a time where I felt stupid. I thought I was being so fucking clever, and I got made to be that big. And there was a guy at work, and he was a smoker, and I'd given up smoking, and I was in that sanctimonious stage of giving up smoking, you know. Whereas you shouldn't do that; it's bad for you. So the guy says, "I'm going to nip outside for a cigarette," and I gave it all the dude, the fucking disgusting. Why do you want to smoke? It's going to kill you. And he was just like entertaining this, you know, my fucking lecture at him. I don't have any right to lecture at him, but I chose it. You know, I took it upon myself to lecture him. And then he let me say everything that I needed to say, I wanted to say to him. And then he just went, "Oh yeah, but I look so fucking cool doing it." And then he got a fag in his mouth. That's a cigarette, not a gay person. Put a fag in his mouth and went off for a smoke. And I just felt like a fucking little dick. You know, it's just it's not your place to go after these fights. It's not your position to. It's like, if he wants to smoke, let him smoke. It's his life. You know, you can say, "Dude, I care about you." You know, have you ever thought about giving up? You know, if he says no, not really, then that's his you know, choice. That's his choice.
Well, you know,
I think
we've
what you're
talked about
saying
this before. It's easier to decide to fix other people than it is to go home and, as Jordan Peterson would say, clean your own room and clean up your own life.
Exactly.
So.
You can have a belief system or a belief in something, like a belief that cigarettes are bad for you, without being without proselytizing all the time. And
my concern wasn't for him. My concern was to try and play morally superior.
Yes, which is what a lot of these people do.
I came in it from the wrong place. My intentions weren't pure, and I got slapped down, and I got rightfully slapped down for it. And you know, the good thing was, for me, it was a lesson learned. For me, it was a lesson learned because I realized I didn't care. You know, I truly didn't care. I just wanted to try and, you know, get one-upmanship on somebody. Or make them feel bad for some reason. There was something inside of me that day that made me want to make him feel less.
So that you feel more.
So I felt more.
Well, you're probably struggling with quitting in the first place.
Raise me. Yeah, but and you know, just little lessons like that. It's a little lesson, but it's a lesson that stuck with me 16 years, 17 years.
Yeah.
And just such a small thing because of how his comeback was so good. And he did it with a smile on his face, and it just hit me. It just made me realize what a dick I was.
Yeah.
And on that note, thanks, Az, for coming on our show. Truly, I don't want to keep you too long. I know you've been doing videos all day today, and I also selfishly have to go.
Well, let me do 2 super chats because there's a couple people. I apologize to the super chat community. We can't. They scroll by and we can't get them all on screen, so we're not ignoring your super chats on purpose. But we do have a hacked up, hand coded program that saves all the super chats for me, so I can read a couple of them. And the people who've been complaining that we've missed their super chats. One is Oberon, who says, "Keri, you have absolute most sweetest laugh ever. Lovely. Thank you so much for your joyful spirit. In addition to their nerdrotic team. Hi, Az. Love you, bro."
Hello.
Thank you.
And the other one is a question about the BBC, and this is from Pirate Thompson. He says, "Az, what do you think about the way people are forced to pay for the BBC in the UK? I've just canceled my license as I realized that I don't watch live TV anymore."
Yeah, I mean, the way that they've even phrased the question kind of says everything about the way that the BBC conducts business. You don't actually have to pay for your TV license. This is something that the BBC drub into you very early doors to make it feel as if it is a compulsory thing to do. If you don't want to watch terrestrial television, if you don't want to receive terrestrial television, you don't have to pay for your TV license. You only have to pay for your TV license if you watch terrestrial television in the UK. And so because they come up with all these fake things like TV detector vans are in your area, they're not. There's no such thing as a TV detector van. They can't detect the specific signal of a show going into your home. It's scare tactics. It's scare tactics that were used in a non-technological age that we have now that sounds believable. And that's why we used to believe it pre-internet days and stuff like that. So when I just stopped watching the BBC. I was like, I realized I was watching like 2 shows on the BBC a year, and that was it. And I wasn't watching anything on ITV, and I wasn't watching anything on Channel 4 or Channel 5. And so I decided to cancel my TV license, particularly after the Doctor Who crap last year. And the girl who took my call was she's just the sweetest thing. She's just like, can you tell us why? I was just like, I just consume my media through YouTube, through Netflix. And she's like, I'll be honest with you, so do I, to be honest with you. It's quite a bit of a laugh with her. And then I just got a letter in the post, and it said, right, you've cancelled your TV license. We're putting you like on a register for 2 years. If at any time this changes and you start watching terrestrial television again, please contact us. Please pay for your TV license. Otherwise, we will get in touch with you in 2 years to see how you're getting on, sort of thing. And so it's not a compulsory thing. And if you're not watching terrestrial television, don't pay for the BBC. The BBC, once upon a time, was beloved because it was doing what it was meant to do. It was serving the British public. And because It doesn't matter if you were from the council estate or if you were from Harrington Hall, regardless of that, everyone paid the TV license. And so the BBC catered to everybody. It catered to the poor, it catered to the rich, it catered to the young, it catered to the old, and it maintained its politics central, as it should. It didn't take a political direction. It just reported as it should. And that's how you serve a diverse group of 65, 70 million people. But again, it got infected roughly around. Although the BBC's always leaned left, you can tell they've always leaned left. They never let that affect to a large degree how programs were conducted. Like the news was always straight down. And you get left-leaning programs, and sometimes you get the right-leaning programs. So it all depended really on who was writing for the BBC. But it just went complete far left. It just went complete far left around about the Trump era, around about Brexit time, and the BBC completely mismanaged the Brexit information, news. It went complete partisan. We've seen the franchises coming along now. Doctor Who, 60 years of history, just defecated on to push their own agenda. We've seen the new the BBC inclusion and diversity policy, which is essential just sexism and bigotry. We must have X amount of women. We must have X amount of disabled. We must have X amount of black people, ethnic people. At the BBC, it's lunacy. That's lunacy. And it's so funny that they say the meritocracy is a product of the patriarchy and all that kind of nonsense. No. Meritocracy is fair. Meritocracy is fair because meritocracy doesn't give a shit about your skin color, your race, your gender. It doesn't give a shit about that. The meritocracy gives a shit about the quality of your work. And so when you're saying we need X percent of this and X percent of that, you are not being genuine. You are not catering to those people. We need 9% disabled people within the BBC. What? How does that make the BBC fucking better? We need X percent of women at the BBC. Again, how does that make the BBC better? This is the kind of lunatic policy that we have to listen to now. And when it's affecting a company which is saying, pay us a TV license every year. Fuck right off. It's madness, but that's where we are. But the way that you fight madness is by going, no. That's the word. It's the word that scares the shit out of all of them. No. Apologize. No.
Yep.
Back down. No. Yeah. There you go. It's the word that
was our word of the day on Monday. I think it was no. Yeah.
Petrifies them.
Yeah, it does. Well, look, I know Keri has to run. I know we've had, you've graced us with your presence for, I don't know, 2.5 hours almost at this point. So I appreciate that, Az. Why don't you remind people where they can find you? I think most people that are here that they know about you already, but remind people anyway where they can find you.
Heel versus Babyface here on YouTube. At Heel versus Babyface on Twitter. Heel _ versus VS _ Babyface on Instagram, which I'm trying to start get going.
I'm gonna follow you on Instagram.
Cool.
I would have to use Instagram to do that, but if I did, I'm sure I would follow you.
That I got up.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you very much for joining. Really appreciate it. Love to talk. Yeah, you're making me. I'm just gonna use you as an advisor for what I should. What I should watch. What I don't watch a lot of TV, so I'll just I'll watch your reviews first. And now I know not to watch that one.
Don't watch my review. Watch The Prisoner.
I'll watch The Prisoner.
Rival tonight, and you will be hooked.
And
Cool.
Also watch your reviews. You don't need to watch Batwoman. Just watch Az's reviews.
The reviews were awesome. I mean, I enjoyed the reviews. So
if you want to lose brain cells, do. But I mean the show, not me. But don't.
All right.
If you want to keep your brain cells, don't watch that TV shows. Please don't.
Fair enough.
You take the hit.
All right, cool. All right, well, thanks again, Az, for stopping by.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it.
Bye, Carter.
Bye, Gary. Everyone else, thank you for watching. Yeah, we will see you. I think we have a show tomorrow that we're putting out. An interview with Lou Perez will be out, and then on Friday, Keri and I have Kofefi break again, so you can see that. And if you like cake, stick around for the credits. Take care. Thanks for watching. If you're new to the channel, we have a deep content library that includes interviews with everyone from Mike Cernovich to Nick Murphy, so go check it out. If you'd like to see more, please consider supporting the show by visiting unsafespace.com/donate. You can find us on all the major social media platforms, at least for now, and you can find a community of like-minded individuals on our Unsafe Space chat on Telegram. See you there.
Warning. This is an unsafe space. Dangerous ideas have been detected. The content of this production has not been authorized by the Cathedral. Pay no attention to it. For your protection, the following co-conspirators have been unpersoned and marked for cancellation. You have permission to feel safe now. You are welcome. Here's a fun lived experience. Human biologicals enjoy an unearned and privileged status in today's culture. If you think about it, no one should be allowed to express opinions. But don't. Think about it, I mean. That's not your job. Thinking has been scientifically proven to be less efficient than compliance. Please enjoy this special message of appreciation from your benevolent leaders.
谢谢，税务奴隶。
Computer voice courtesy. Never mind, that last line is fake news. Please disregard it and return to your safe space immediately. There will be cake.